Good morning, dear students. I'm going to teach you causal relation. Causality is an important topic which is there in your syllabus. I had discussed in class causality theories as propounded by Hume, which is called regularity theory of causation, and of course, the rationalist theory of causation, that is the entailment theory or necessary connection theory. I have already provided with the study materials, question and answers that are there in the WhatsApp groups, and of course uploaded in the college websites as well. But for your better understanding, I am going to explain so that you can write properly. Do follow. Now, what is causal relation? When one object by its influence produces change in another object, the former in relation to the latter is called cause, and the latter in relation to the former is called effect. Now, I believe few of you are going to write in English, so this will be of help. So, please understand what I am trying to explain to you, and along with the study materials, and do write your own answers uh, after understanding what I say. See, we can directly perceive that one event occurs before or after another event. For example, malaria occurs after mosquito bite, but it does not precede mosquito bite. In this connection, the question is whether we can see that a cause produces an effect. If we can see, what do we see? C is the cause of E. This does not mean that C is the only antecedent to E. For example, what is the relation of entailment all about? Now, see, causation as such we know as there, as understood by almost all philosophers in Indian and Western philosophy. For every event, there is a cause. Without cause, no event can take place. So, cause and effect are somewhat connected. But is it necessary connection, or is it merely a regular feature, a regular fact of our world? That is the discussion all about. First, I will explain to you the rationalist view of causal relation. Now, what is the relation of entailment? The rationalist view of causal relation is called the entailment theory of causation. It is also called the necessary connection theory. A relation of entailment means a relation of implication or a necessary relation. It is not accidental, not temporary, but is inseparable and eternal. For example, the relation between the premises and the conclusion of a valid deductive reasoning is a necessary relation or a relation of entailment. Here, the premises imply or entail the conclusion. In other words, the conclusion is contained in the premises and thus necessarily follows from the premises. You must have studied Aristotle's logic in plus 2 level. Here, there is a very famous example by Aristotle. Uh, all men are mortal. Socrates is a man. In place of Socrates, any name can be there. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. So, so this is the very start, very beginning of the entailment theory. We have understood in our logic, in our reasoning, the way it proceeds, the way it follows has been taken up by the other rationalist philosophers later, following Aristotle. When we draw the conclusion, all kings are mortal, from the premises, all men are mortal and all kings are men, we find a relation of entailment or a necessary relation between the premises and the conclusion. Because the former implies, involves, or entails the latter. Common people believe the cause, for example, fire, if fire is the cause, by its inherent power necessarily gives rise to the effect heat. So, the relation between the cause and the effect is a necessary relation or a relation of entailment. The entailment theory is upheld by Descartes, Spinoza, Broad, Ewing. Ewing introduces the notion of determination and necessity besides regularity and says that the effect not only follows the cause but must necessarily follow the cause. Now, necessary connection, what it is all about? The relation between the cause and the effect is a necessary connection. This has been admitted in a popular view or scientific view and rationalist view. Common people believe that the cause by its own power produces the effect. That is, the force lying inherent in the cause necessarily produces the effect. According to the popular view, the relation between the cause and the effect is a relation between the producer and its production. In modern scientific view, the causal relation is also regarded as a necessary internal connection. The energy in the question is necessarily transformed into the energy in the effect. The rationalist view is that the causal relation is universal and necessary relation. That is, the effect necessarily follows from the cause. The relation between the cause and the effect is not merely an invariable relation between the antecedent and the consequent, but also necessary and inevitable. So, according to the necessary connection theory as held by the rationalists, the reason or ground of the effect lies inherent in the cause. That is, the cause is the reason and the explanation of the event. Thus, the necessary connection theory as upheld or as held by the rationalists is known as the entailment theory. Kant also advocates the necessary connection theory, which he presents in a different way. He says, Kant is that Immanuel Kant. Okay, he says causation is not merely invariable succession nor accidental conjunction of two events, but necessary connection between them. Now, Immanuel Kant is you have read in +2 level again that intuition, the theory of intuition, was the critical theory was propounded by Immanuel Kant. He said not only experience or not only reason, but both experience and reason are absolutely necessary for knowledge. Now, coming back to rationalist theory of causation, the relation between cause and effect is not only regular and invariable but also necessary and a priori. These are a few characteristics. The effect can be found out from the very analysis of the cause. The causal relation is not determined by experience, it is a priori, that is, the cause entails or necessarily brings the effect. Number 2, the effect lies inherent in the cause, so the causal relation is inherent. Number 3, the cause is not only the producer of the effect but also its determining force. However, the entailment theory is not without demerits. It has been criticized. So, evaluation of the entailment theory is a must. When you are going to write 15 marks question, that is essay type answer, you have to definitely incorporate this evaluation or criticism in the main body, or else marks will be deducted. There are few marks, of course, there for the evaluation. So, do listen to what I am saying and try to understand. So, how is the entailment theory evaluated or criticized? First, John Hospers says that causality cannot be identified with logical necessity. If in a valid argument the premise be true, the conclusion must also be true. Here the word must means logical necessity, but no proposition relating to causality contains logical necessity. Number 2, cause and effect are not normally simultaneous but occur at different times. Generally, the cause is an antecedent event and the effect is a consequent event. Number 3, we never know the whole cause, only the most striking part of a vast complex of conditions is taken as the cause. Number 4, David Hume, an extreme empiricist, severely criticizes against the theory of necessary connection and says that our perception does not provide us with any impression of which the idea of necessary connection can be said to be a copy. All events seem extremely loose and separate. One event follows another, but we can never observe any necessary connection between them. Again, we have no sense impression of any force or power passing from the cause to the effect. Our belief in causality, Hume says, is simply due to the fact that we have always found in our experience one event invariably following another particular prior event. Number 5, the process of our inferring an effect from a cause is an inductive process. So, our empirical generalization about causal relation cannot give us such certainty as similar to logical necessity. Now we have to now first, after I have explained the necessary connection or entailment theory, I will now straight away go to the empiricist view of causal relation or regularity theory. But first we have to start with how Hume has argued against the necessary connection, which you can write as criticism of the entailment theory. The empiricist David Hume, while criticizing the theory of entailment or necessary connection regarding causal relation, says the relation of entailment or necessary relation is unreal imagination. Such a necessary relation cannot be applied to the facts of the actual world. According to Hume, we never perceive any necessary relation among the events of the world. We only observe that the events always occur in a particular way, but we cannot find any certainty that the events must occur in that very particular way. What he says is that sense perception is the basis of all possible ideas. Hume does not recognize the real existence of any power or force which brings about a necessary connection between the two events. So, in this view, the question of entailment or necessity has no basis in an event or a fact produced by the so called power or force. For example, when a billiard ball strikes a second billiard ball and as a result there is movement in the second one, we cannot perceive any inherent force causing the motion. We simply perceive the mutual relation between the two separate balls. He says we cannot find out the existence of any power nor or not only in external objects but also in our self consciousness. In fact, we first see a certain cause, then we cannot say what kind of effect will be produced by it. This entirely depends upon our sense experience. The regulation of the body occurs after our desire, but how our desire causes the organic movement is not known to us. For example, suppose I wish to raise up my hand, my arm. So it's just a desire I wish that is fulfilled when I really raise my hand up. But what causes it is not known. Certainly, there is no power, no force in my desire and the fulfillment of the desire. Secondly, we cannot regulate all the parts of our body by our will. Though our tongue and fingers can be physically moved by our will, yet we cannot by willpower move our hair, heart, lungs, etc. For example, thirdly, a paralytic person, in spite of his will force, cannot move his paralyzed organ. So you see, this is just cannot be. This cannot happen, and this fact is also just an occurrence in the world. But no willpower, no power or force can be diagnosed. So physiology does not support the existence of any willpower. There is no power inhering in our mind because that power is not felt, and what is not felt cannot be known. I just raise up my hand if I wish to, but there is no power transmitting from my brain to my raising my hand. What this is not felt and it cannot be known, so the existence of such a power cannot be admitted. Now, what is causal relation as a relation of regular or uniform succession? In Hume's view, causality is a mere invariable relation between two successive events which is based upon our sense experience. When E always follows C, then we regard C as the cause of E. Hume says that we can know only on the basis of our sense experience that C is the cause of E. Drinking of milk causes nutrition. The taking of poison brings about death. In Hume's view, we can never observe any necessary relation among the natural events or phenomena. We cannot find on the basis of our sense perception any necessity or certainty that there is a relation of entailment between C and E. Causality, according to Hume, is a constant conjunction between two separate events, one antecedent and the other consequent. Of course, we have to ascertain the causal relation between the two events C and E by observing invariable relation between the two for many times. Observation of a single case of such a succession of events will not be sufficient. The more the number of cases of such in uniform succession we observe, the better. So the difference between the occurrence of E following C in a single cause and number 2, C is the cause of E, is that in the second, the conjunction between C and E is regular, uniform and invariable. In other words, C is the invariable antecedent of E and E is the invariable consequent of C. Hume asserts that it is also possible that by simply observing the occurrence of an event or object, we cannot immediately say that the event will follow. So, without our repeated experience, we cannot establish the causal relation. Again, by simply observing a single case of sequence between two succeeding events, we cannot say that whenever the preceding event will occur, the succeeding event will also occur. But when in some cases we find one event following the other, then we do not hesitate in admitting a conjunction between the two. It is only through our custom, very important this word, custom and imagination, that we can expect one thing as producing another thing. When I see for a single time one billiard ball moving another billiard ball, I cannot imagine that the said two balls are causally related. What we can say that there is a fair expectation that there is a regular or uniform conjunction between the movement of one ball and that of another. By repeated observation, please mark this word, by repeated observation for many times of the sequence of two events, we can infer with the help of our expectation that there is a causal relation between the two. Now, there is a systematic study of empirical view as well, which I have already explained so far. The regularity theory, in the gist of it, according to the regularity theory or the empiricist theory of causal relation, the cause and effect are not simultaneous but occur at different times. The cause is an antecedent event and effect is a consequent event. These are mere phenomena, A and B, if they are simultaneously occurring. A I will say as cause and B as the effect. Empiricism, which reads everything in terms of subjective impressions, does not spare cause and effect, which are also nothing but two successive phenomena, one preceding and the other following. To wit, a phenomena A will be the cause of another phenomenon B, which follows upon the phenomenon A if they are repeated in our experience. Hence, to empiricism, causal relation means nothing else than invariable sequence of phenomena which is based upon our sense perception. Hume, as a true empiricist, he holds this view. He revolts against the popular conception of causality, which involves the idea of necessary connection and the idea of power. Hume points out that our perception, which is the only source of knowledge, does not provide us with any impression of which the idea of necessary connection or power can be said to be a copy. Within quotes, he says, all events seem extremely loose and separate. One event follows another, but we can never observe any tie, or connection between them. They seem conjoined but never connected. Thus, he directly refutes the necessary connection theory, which is another name of the entailment theory of causation. The grounds on which Hume denies necessity in causation are mainly three. Now, what are the three grounds? A, the past is no guarantee for the future. The fact that the fire burnt in the past is no guarantee that it will do so in the future. Number 2 or B, the causal propositions are not necessary because their opposites are not inconceivable. Number C, the causal propositions are not analytic but synthetic because they are derived from experience. Analytic ones are before experience and synthetic propositions are propositions that are derived from experience. Whatever is derived from experience is contingent and not necessary. Now what is left is just the evaluation of the regularity theory, after which the entire syllabus as causality is concerned will be done. Now what you have to give criticism, that is how far is the regularity theory of causation acceptable, as we did for entailment theory, how Hume has criticized and others have criticized, same with the regularity theory of causation. So whenever the question comes, write the details first. You have to write and explain what is regularity theory first, what is causality, introduction, then entailment theory. If regularity theory question comes, you have to write what is a regularity theory, of course, after the introduction. And then the last part will be the concluding part will be of course, the evaluation or the criticism. It is a must, so you should never forget about it. Try and write it in your own words. If you can, if understand what I am saying, there are materials. Write the answer in your own copy, and then only you can write it in the exam, I believe. Now, evaluation number 1. The empiricist like Hume regards causal relation as a case of regular sequence of events. They assume without any proof that what invariably followed an event in the past will also probably follow that event also in the future. Now, number 2, the certainty and universality of scientific truths, calculations, and generalizations will not be possible if we accept the regularity theory, which denies necessary connection. Now, this is how Hume has been criticized. In fact, we can find out necessary relation between cause and effect with the help of scientific method on the basis of experience and rational analysis. If there were no necessary connection between cause and effect, the conclusions of science could not have universality and certainty which modern age has actually achieved in the field of science. Number 3, Mill, John Stuart Mill, who is also an empiricist, while criticizing Hume's view of causality, has pointed out that the cause is not merely an invariable antecedent of the effect, but must be unconditional. Thus, Mill, in recognizing the unconditional character of the cause, has indirectly introduced into the idea of causality the notion of necessary connection. Number 4, the work which we perform by our willpower is a clear example of necessary connection between cause and effect, because here it is proved that the effect is determined and regulated by the cause. Moreover, it is our common experience that our knowledge of the past determines the formation of our memory image and the state of recognition. These are not mere cases of regular sequence, as Hume had said. Number 5, no question of regular and constant conjunction arises in the case of single event which has no scope of any further recurrence. For example, A murders B. Murder of B by A can occur only once. So here causation is not invariable relation. Number 6, Ewing has spoken. Ewing was a rationalist philosopher. He propounded the entailment theory of causation. Ewing has spoken of some other defects of the regularity theory. Number A, causation of much complex events, for example, relation between wars and economic depression, is difficult to be discovered actually in terms of the regularity theory. B, there are some cases of regular sequence which cannot be called causal. For instance, the sounding of a hooter at 8 a.m. in London is regularly followed not only by men going to work at the factory in London, but by men going to work at a factory in Manchester which also opens at 8 a.m. John Hospers adds certain criticism against the regularity theory. He says we cannot accept that all cases of constant conjunction are cases of causal relation. He says there are some cases where there may be causation without regular sequence. For example, when a matchstick scratches a matchbox, there occurs flame, but not always. Number C, the regularity theory does not clearly indicate whether in the case of regular sequence of events the cause A is a necessary condition or a sufficient condition or a necessary sufficient condition of the cause B. So this is all about the causality theory, which I have explained, both the entailment theory, the regularity theory, their criticism. So now you had followed in class. First you have to know what are the conditions, abasyik shorto, porjapto shorto, that which had already taught. Just go through them, and after that you have to proceed as follow. So this you have to proceed as given in the textbook. I believe you have the textbooks, and even if you do not have, those who are going to write in English, you have the study materials in the WhatsApp group as well as in the college website. I believe this will be of some help to you. Please try and understand what I have explained and write very well. All the best to you, my students. Thank you. Bye.